In 1958, a psychologist named Harry Harlow built two fake mothers. One was made of wire. It held a bottle of milk. The other was wrapped in a soft cloth. It held nothing. He put a baby rhesus monkey in a cage with both. The monkey chose the cloth. Not once. Every time. It would reach over to the wire mother to feed, then immediately return to the cloth one and hold on. When Harlow frightened the monkey using a loud mechanical toy or sudden movement, it didn't run to the milk. It ran to the cloth. It buried its face in fabric that offered no food, no warmth, no protection, just the feeling of something soft pressed against its skin. Contact. That was the whole experiment. The monkey would rather starve than be alone. That finding disturbed people, not because it was surprising, because it wasn't. Everyone already knew what Harlow's monkey proved. We just didn't want to say it out loud. Humans have always known what isolation does. We didn't need a laboratory, we had exile. In ancient Athens, they called it ostracism. Citizens scratched a name onto a piece of pottery. If enough people wrote your name, you were cast out of the city for 10 years. No trial, no appeal. You simply stopped existing in the only world that mattered. In Rome, it was worse. Exile meant losing your legal identity, your property, your citizenship, your right to be protected by law. You became nobody. The punishment wasn't pain. It wasn't poverty. It was disconnection. And every civilization that invented law independently arrived at the same conclusion. The worst thing you can do to a person, short of killing them, is to make them alone. Solitary confinement, excommunication, shunning, banishment, different words, same weapon. The history of punishment is a history of one idea, tested and confirmed across 5,000 years. Isolation breaks people. And then, slowly, the modern world built it into the architecture. Single-occupancy apartments, remote work, self-checkout lanes, algorithms that replace conversation with content, food delivery that means you never have to see another face between waking up and falling asleep. Nobody planned an epidemic. It assembled itself, one convenience at a time. In 2023, the United States Surgeon General Vivek Murthy published an advisory, not about a virus, not about opioids, about loneliness. He called it a public health crisis with mortality effects equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Loneliness was killing people, not metaphorically, literally. Heart disease, stroke, dementia, immune collapse. A neuroscientist at the University of Chicago named John Cacioppo had spent 30 years trying to get people to take this seriously. He started in the 1990s when studying loneliness was considered soft science, feelings, not physiology. Cacioppo didn't think it was soft. He thought loneliness was a biological signal, like hunger, like thirst, your body telling you something essential is missing. He recruits lonely and non-lonely people, matches them for age, health, income, scans their brains. The lonely brains are different, not emotionally different, structurally different. The threat detection system is running hot. The amygdala firing at faces, at ambiguous social cues, at things that wouldn't register for a connected person. A neutral expression reads as hostile. A delayed text reads as rejection. The lonely brain has turned the world into a minefield. Cacioppo calls it hypervigilance. Your brain scanning for social threats the way a prey animal scans for predators. And here's the cruel part. The scanning makes connection harder. You're looking for danger in the people who might actually help you. The lonelier you get, the more threatening everyone looks. The alarm is supposed to push you toward people. Instead, it pushes you away from them. Then he looks at the blood. Lonely people have higher cortisol, the stress hormone. Chronic, sustained, not the kind that spikes and fades. Their inflammation markers are elevated, C-reactive protein. The body is running a low-grade immune response as if it's fighting an infection that doesn't exist. But the strangest finding is in the genes. Cacioppo discovers that loneliness changes gene expression. In lonely people, the genes responsible for fighting viruses are dialed down. The genes responsible for inflammation are dialed up. The immune system is literally reconfiguring itself, as if the body is preparing for a wound. Not a virus, a wound. The kind you get when there's no one watching your back. Around the same time, a psychologist at UCLA named Naomi Eisenberger runs a different experiment. Volunteers play a simple computer game called Cyberball. 3 players tossing a virtual ball back and forth, except 2 of the players are programmed to stop throwing to the third. The excluded player lies in an fMRI scanner, and when the ball stops coming, their brain lights up in the same region that processes physical pain, the same circuit, the same intensity, Being left out of a meaningless computer game activates the brain's pain system as if something in the body is broken. Social pain is not a metaphor. It is processed by the same neural architecture as a broken arm. Your body decided this matters. It doesn't ask whether you agree. Cacioppo dies in 2018. He'd spent the last years of his career trying to shift how medicine understood loneliness from a feeling to a condition, a biological state with measurable markers, predictable consequences, and a clear evolutionary origin. 5 years later, the Surgeon General's advisory uses his language. Loneliness is not sadness. It is not introversion. It is not the absence of people. You can feel it in a crowded room. You can feel it next to someone you love. It is the gap between the connection you have and the connection your body expects. And when that gap stays open, your biology changes to match. Cortisol stays elevated. Inflammation stays high. The immune system stays in siege mode. The brain stays in threat detection. And every new interaction gets filtered through a system that is already bracing for rejection. That is the design flaw of loneliness. It is an alarm that makes the thing it's calling for harder to reach. But there's a distinction Cacioppo kept coming back to. Loneliness is not the same as being alone. A monk sitting in silence on a mountain does not show the same cortisol spike. A writer working alone in a cabin for a month does not trigger siege mode. Their bodies are calm. Their immune systems are stable. Their brains are not scanning for threats. Chosen solitude, the kind where you are alone on purpose, where you are not waiting for someone to arrive or afraid that no one will, does not fire the alarm. Buddhist monks have understood this for 25 centuries. Silence is not emptiness. Solitude is not exile. There is a version of being alone that is not loneliness. It is the opposite of loneliness. It is being with yourself and finding that you are enough company. The body knows the difference. Not between alone and together, between unwanted and chosen, between abandoned and arrived. Cacioppo's research confirms this from the other direction. The strongest predictor of loneliness is not how many people are in your life. It is the quality of the connection. Whether you feel seen, understood, valued by even one person. One genuine connection can silence the alarm that 1,000 followers cannot touch. Harlow's monkey clung to a cloth mother because contact was more important than food. Your body still believes that. It measures your social world the way it measures your blood sugar. Constantly, unconsciously, with consequences you never chose. You are carrying a signal designed for a world where being alone meant death. The signal hasn't updated. The world has. But the signal is not asking for a crowd. It is asking to be chosen, and the first person who can choose you is you. The question worth sitting with is not how to be less alone. It is whether your aloneness was something you chose, or something that chose you.